Hey guys, this is Hunter Leavine, and thanks for checking out the Captain's Collective podcast. Brought to you by Skinny Water Culture, Turtle Box Audio, Florida Fishing Products, Yeti Coolers, and the Drifter Fish Club. I love fishing, and one of the reasons that I love fishing is because in my life, it's given me the opportunity to go to some amazing places, to meet some really interesting people, and of course, enjoy some great food and cuisine. Recently on a Drifter Fish Club trip, we found ourselves in Craig, Montana, fishing the Missouri River, where I got the opportunity to do something a little bit different with this podcast. And rather than interviewing a fishing guide or somebody who works in the fishing industry, I got the chance to sit down with Chef John of Izaak's, who has an amazing story and has designed his life around his love for food and fishing. In this podcast, he shares a lot of insights about what it looks like to chase your passion, to make intentional decisions, to have more time to do what you love, and just shares a lot about what he's learned along the way with decades of experience, not only on the river, but also in running restaurants. I really think you guys are going to enjoy this one. If you want to learn more about the Drifter Fish Club and the trips that we're doing, you can head to drifterfishclub.com. And we also feature some trip recaps, including a trip recap of this trip to Montana. If you guys are enjoying this podcast, help us out by subscribing and sharing. We're so grateful for your support. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Captain's Collective. Well, hey, John. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me at Izaak's restaurant. Sitting here on your off day, so I appreciate you making some time for that.
No worries. This time of year, it's a 7-day endeavor.
Yeah, and this is such a cool town. To give people a little bit of an overview, it's a population of 40 to 50 people. Is that accurate or is that ambitious?
Winter, it's probably like 12. And yeah, it's somewhere around 40, I guess, in the summer.
And this town revolves around fly fishing the Missouri River. We're in Craig, Montana. A beautiful country. I mean, you can fish canyons, you can fish more open area, brown trout, rainbow trout, whitefish. Do you guys have cutthroat or?
There's cut hybrids that come over from the lake who come in through the dam.
Okay. And just some of the most beautiful country that I've seen, which was no surprise to me. You know, I came in, expecting to see some beautiful country, definitely delivered on that. And when you drive through a small town like this, if you even want to call it a town, the outpost like this, you don't really expect to find somebody as passionate about the food. You know, you kind of almost think you got to do it yourself, or it's just going to be really pragmatic, like, you know, the world's most mediocre hamburger. And there's a cool scene here. There's a cool place.
Well, it's interesting. You know, I moved west in 87. I graduated high school in 86 in New Hampshire, and I spent a year in Killington. And then I realized that in the West, I could ski on the snow and not in it. And I moved to Park City. And that's when I went that first summer. I spent the fall in Yellowstone, and I spent the rest of the season on the Green River in Utah. And that was it. I knew I would never go back. The West is amazing. And, yeah, I've basically traveled to every tailwater and every fishery there is in the West over the years. And I found exactly that. There was mediocre food or limited services, etc. And just through happenstance over the years, I worked for Hyde Outfitters in Island Park. I worked for Rainbow River Lodge in Alaska. I kind of let fly fishing sort of, give me a big break from the restaurant world. So I would leave corporate restaurants and take a year off and go to Alaska and stuff like that. Well, a bunch of years goes by. I'm living in Salt Lake, and the 08 crisis in Salt Lake made a bunch of changes in my life. And I started looking at Montana. I looked at Wyoming. I looked at Idaho. I looked everywhere around the West. And my basic premise was trying to find a restaurant I could fix. Mm-hmm. And after a year and a half of being on the road, it wasn't looking good. And I saw an ad on Craigslist for an executive chef in Craig here at Izaak's. And one thing led to another, and I ended up buying into the company, and here I am 15 years later. The restaurant's seasonal. We go from like late March to late October. We are extremely busy, and we do the best we can with a limited staff. It's the biggest issue we have out west is limited cooks, limited housing. It's very difficult to find seasonal employees anymore. The days of being a ski bum are kind of over, if you know what I mean. Park City, Sun Valley, Jackson Hole, etc. It's gotten a lot more difficult for normal working people to survive. And so anyway, I just do the best I can out here. It does take a big commitment, and it's most of the time it's worth it. The beauty of the river and what the river gives me and gives back is incredible. I mean, the fishery, the birds, the scenery, the mushroom foraging, so many things about this place are just amazing. And yes, there's amazing people that come here from all around the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to do, and we were just talking about this. Our videographer, Ian, texted us. He was on his way up here with his cousin and said, I got a surprise for you guys for pizza night. And he texted us some morels that they had loaded the boat at a ramp and were walking back and stumbled on some.
They are out in abundance right now. And you landed it perfectly. And again, some years we have very limited harvest. Other years they're incredible. And on the Missouri, the morels are the blonde, perfect morel, absolutely perfect. And, everybody should know how to cut them properly and leave the rootstock back behind and enjoy them. I do not serve them in the restaurant anymore because of that Bozeman incident, and the liability is just too high. But they're very easy to identify, and they're absolutely delicious. I love them.
So how did you, let's backtrack in your story. How did you get into cooking?
So my parents owned restaurants. I'm from New Hampshire. I was 3 years old in a professional kitchen in New Hampshire, and my parents owned a sub and pizza place, and I was part of that throughout high school. And then in high school, I went through vocational education for culinary, and then I started working in real restaurants as like a junior in high school. And then, I knew I was never going to go to a traditional college. I was too wild. I was a crazy young kid, and I traveled. So right out of high school, I traveled to Club Med and Vermont and Block Island and Nantucket and all these amazing places. And as I said, it's very difficult to do that today. I was very, very fortunate. Mm-hmm. The restaurant business has been very good to me too. I've been able to live and work where people play. It's amazing. 100 days a year on the hill, beautiful golf, beautiful fishing, surrounded by people who are into the outdoors. That's my whole life, my whole career.
So you grow up, you're working in a sub and pizza shop. You get it modeled by your parents because, we have a chef on this trip with us, Trey Foshi from George's at the Cove in San Diego. And it's its own world. It's its own, there's a lot that people don't understand about what goes into running a restaurant. So you grow up and you decide to do it. Where does fishing factor into your story as you're kind of growing into your own love for food and your own career?
Well, so much of restaurants is a hard balance, right? It's the chef lifestyle is very difficult to find the balance. And fishing has allowed me that balance. And I've been able to step back and, I'm on a big career path and a big gig in Charleston or something like this. And after a couple of years said, wait a minute, I need a break. And I would just switch gears, and the fishing industry has been a huge part of that. Also, when you're out on the water and you're fishing a 18 blue wing on a 6X and the whole thing, it's so much different than a restaurant. The industry is very intense. And, every night the curtain goes up and you have to be ready. And I'm one of those people that puts in the 12-hour days. And it's definitely, I'm a single guy. I'm 57, never been married. And a lot of that is because of the work. It's a lot of hours. To be a professional chef and to own your own place is a big commitment. Oh, and with Trey, I've known Trey for years. I met him when he worked at Sundance years and years ago. And that restaurant, George's on the Cove, is incredible. Mm-hmm. That is a monstrous, unbelievable facility. In this industry, you can basically decide, I want to go live here and work for that person and do this. Mm-hmm. That's really what I did.
Was there a moment for you that, I want to start by saying you guys have amazing food here.
Okay.
And, I think you guys also do a good job. We talked on the phone about this, of working with the grain of what it is, where you're at, trying to accommodate and fit into what people are looking for, because you're in the hospitality business. And, me and the guys came out here and shot pool, and we loved it. We loved that you have a pool table. It was a fun thing to be able to do. You might not go to high, fine dining and have a pool table, but, we wanted to shoot pool, we're here. But was there a moment for you that you thought about going the fine dining route?
Okay, exactly. When I came here, they were trying to pull fine dining. And if you look at the floors, if you look at the environment, if you look at the environment of the community, the other restaurants in the region, etc., that's why I chose to go Gourmet Roadhouse with the barbecue. I had learned the barbecue in the South. I'm fairly proficient at it, and that's the very first move I made. In this community, there are very few trained cooks. Mm-hmm. So you have to really train and motivate and stimulate young people nowadays. And again, it's very, very difficult to find a young person here. The canyon itself is aging out, and now the VRBO, Airbnb, the tourism economy and whatever, we're witnessing more and more large homes being built, the whole Deer Valley effect. There's no plan in this canyon for housing for employees. So I've had to downsize my dining room. I've had to downsize my hours. Heck, it's a holiday weekend and I'm closed. Mm-hmm. It's a Monday and we should be full open packed right now, but we can't, because I've chosen to have a quality of life for my employees and for myself, as opposed to just pursue the capital. I'd rather be on the river after this podcast and with my dogs, which is the plan this afternoon, is to go do a twilight float. I can't float the river if I'm working every night. Mm-hmm. And that's the choices that I made. I'd rather make far less money and get a little heat online or whatever. We did just basically ban 18, and we went 18 and over because there's too many customers. It's not just too many fishermen, there's just too many customers in general. And I'd rather focus on the fishing clientele and the local clientele that's over 18 as opposed to the family-friendly thing, because it's just too much. Mm-hmm. We did Mother's Days. We've done all these holidays over the years. That was just chaos. Mm-hmm. It's just not worth it for me anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm 57. I had a hip transplant last year.
Wow.
I don't... working in the restaurant, I'm on the line every single night. I'm the chef, the GM, the buyer. I'm the guy who goes to Costco. It's the reality of it. If you want to own a restaurant in the middle of nowhere in Montana, you're going to live it. Mm-hmm. So you have to set those parameters to so you can enjoy why you're really here.
Yeah.
And it's true. If anybody should really second guess sometimes when they write nasty things about restaurants online, it's a very difficult industry.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to take a pop shot at a chef or a restaurant or say negative things. Just try to have empathy and look in the position of others. And again, I've been an advocate for small business and an advocate for housing since I've moved here. But in Montana, the wheels of change are very slow. And, there's a cost to the beauty. There's a cost to, the nearest store is 45 minutes away, which is fine if you have your act together.
Yeah.
So
you better plan it out.
Yeah. Everything is like Run Island, and I love this place and I've put my heart and soul into it. As I said, I gave all my 40s and now into my 50s. And the plan now is to sell the restaurant. I've been here for 15 years, and I would love to find a proper buyer who has the same ambition and passion as I have to take it to the next level. And then I'll transition slowly, train them, whatever. And then I want to move to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And my plan at my old age is to wander New Zealand and Indonesia for a couple of years. And then I think I'm going to start a goat cheese farm. I love farming.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
farming.
you showed me the farm, which is
Yeah,
really cool.
We have a farm here now, yeah. And I love dogs and chickens and, stuff like this. So my plan is to hopefully sell by the fall and move to New Zealand by the first of the year. So if any of your listeners are interested, have them give me a call.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what a cool place. And maybe somebody who's like you, choosing to be here because they want to be surrounded by nature and they want to be in a fishery. And
That's right.
Where did the love for fishing come in?
Yeah, okay, it goes all the way back to when I was a little kid. When I'm from New Hampshire, and my grandfather was involved with landlocked salmon fishing on Lake Winnipesaukee. And I remember being exposed to fly fishing as a very young child. And the minute I said this earlier, the minute I saw the green, the minute I saw the South Fork of the Snake, the minute I saw the Henry's Fork, the Madison, I knew it. This is where I want to be. So what do I have to do work-wise to get there? If I can go live at a fly fishing resort in Alaska that only rich people can go to, well, I can go and be an employee there. Mm-hmm. And again, that takes a 7-day work week. You're going to be the chef at a lodge in Alaska. You're going to work 7 14-hour days. Mm-hmm. And the pay's good, but you and I would be out fishing at 4:30 in the morning on a world-famous trout stream.
Yeah.
So worth it. It was so worth it. It was too difficult to keep doing it year after year, but I did it for a couple of years and it was fantastic. And again, those mornings or those twilight evenings or those perfect powder days or whatever it's been over the years, it's the experiences are worth it to me. It's way more than possessions. And as you know, I've got like 15 fly rods and
of course
I'm obsessed with this stuff, but it's where my energy really lies. I had an Airstream for a bunch of years and little 22-foot perfect Airstream that I towed all over the West every winter because we have like 100 days off in the winter. Mm-hmm. So I just hit the road from wine country to Sedona to southern Utah to the desert of Arizona, whatever. Just fly rods and gold panning equipment and golf clubs and just go and see the country.
Yeah.
It's an amazing country. And our national parks, remember, we're 2.5 hours from Yellowstone and Glacier right here. Mm. This is incredible. In my opinion, it's what makes our country one of the greatest countries in the world is our national parks. Mm-hmm. And it is very scary, some of the discussion going on right now about public lands and national parks and all that. And I really hope people realize, like, the greatest vacation of all is to get your kids in an RV and go see this country. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Well, I go with no plan. I don't even have a
Yeah.
I go for 3 months and not even have a plan. But anyway, and then when I get back for season, there's a tremendous amount of work to get the restaurant up and running every year. It's almost like running a restaurant in an RV because we have to de-water and do all this maintenance and things over the winter. And then when we open, we're full tilt. We open, we're busy right away. Mm-hmm. I've been extremely fortunate to have 4 or 5 people working for me for years and years here. My restaurant manager is Izaak. He's been with me for 13 years. Mm-hmm. Bar manager Scotty has been here for 8 years. Scotty's a perfect example. He gets a full-time shifts and he gets to fish 3-4 days a week. And then in the winter, he travels the world.
And you mentioned you felt like that lifestyle was going away. And there's kind of this interesting thing because there's a massive amount of jobs that people can do online and do remote. But at the same time, there seems to be a shifting in values around time and nature. Granted, today there are a lot of people out on the river.
Sure.
But I understand what you're saying about how there was a time that I think it was maybe a little more free-spirited or a little more, kind of follow that dream or passion of being around the slope or being around a stream.
Well, the rich people have pushed the poor people out. Don't underestimate that. In Park City in 1995, we had rich guys. We had billionaires. but the normal people could exist and work and survive. Then it became all rich people. In Jackson Hole, the average house is what, $7 million?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's where our videographer and his cousin guide. I mean, yeah.
So in 93, Jackson Hole was overpriced. And I came this close to being an executive chef and moving to Jackson and the whole thing. It's we need to find a balance. And wealthy people need services. And for some reason, they think that we don't exist. Like, God forbid we have any place for normal people to live. And again, the young people have checked out over it, right? They're not doing well. The opportunities that I had in front of me as a 30-year-old or 25-year-old are very hard to find now. Anyway, and again, I've lobbied locally. I've done whatever I could up at the county, at the legislature. Montana's tough. Change is hard. And the travel and tourism economy is what we're going to. It isn't more dry land farming. It isn't more, with the climate change and everything occurring, travel and tourism is this town's future. It isn't the railroad, And again, this place is being visited by people from all over the world who rent cars and take trips and hire guides and outfitters and go to restaurants. And the socioeconomic effect of tourism is a huge upside for this area. And hopefully that people that run this place will start to acknowledge that. But, our legislators are old ranchers who think like it's the 50s. A bunch of those folks. And again, I didn't come here to fight with City Hall. I just came here to run my restaurant. And it's ironic, we don't have City Hall. We don't have a city council or legislation or anything really. We're basically underrepresented in this community. The fly fishing industry is doing a very good job at promoting and protecting the river. The outfitters, the foam outfitting organization does a great job. There's a lot of the local outfitters here like Mark Reiser at Headhunters and other people who really try to help people gain awareness of the value of the river. And the irony, remember, is this restaurant's named after Izaak Walton, who was a writer who wrote about the value and the proficiencies of the outdoors and what is nature really worth. And that's called The Complete Angler, by the way. And there's a couple different various publications of that. And this restaurant's named after Izaak Walton. And again, it's a trout-themed restaurant.
It's a trout-themed city, really.
It really is. We are in Craiglandia. I love it. I love fishing guides. I love most of them. I love the client. The client that comes here from around the world are just amazing. They respect the fishery. They respect my staff. They're great. They're great. And we're very fortunate to have them. I've been here 15 years. We are way busier than we were 15 years ago in this town. And of course, real estate values and all that represent that. People say, I didn't come up with the name. I did a lot of the interior and a lot of the stuff, a lot of the changes over the years. But I believe that if I sell the restaurant to someone new, it's like passing the baton where they can decide where to take it to the next level or a different level or fine dining or wherever they want. And believe it, whatever anybody decided to do, I believe they'd have support. We are a destination restaurant for a lot of people. People travel 100 miles to come eat here. Unfortunately, now we've gone 18 and over because there's just too many customers. On a nightly basis, I'm working 12, 14 hours a day, and I need to do less.
A lot of listeners, they share a similar value to you, that they want to hunt and fish more. They want to be outside more, whether it's skiing, whether it's fishing, hunting, whatever it may be. And a lot of people's answer to that is to be a guide, or when they're sitting there at their workplace, they think, oh, the only way that I could really do that is be a guide. What advice or what perspective would you give to somebody who is wanting to just get out and do it more?
Well, it's complicated. Being a guide is a great job, and especially if you're willing to put in the effort and you have the physical ability to row and to do the physical side part of it. But with guiding, if you notice, the drift boat's a very small office. And to be able to coordinate 2 fishermen, the boat, everything going on, the flies, the whole thing, it takes real skill. And to be a teacher and a mentor and to be a ball breaker or whatever you're going to do if you're a guide, it's not easy. And then the sun, the physical element of the sun every day, just like you had mentioned earlier, boy, the sun can get you. And then, it's a long summer. Used to be a fishing guide, was a high school teacher who got 20 days of summer on the side. Some of the professional guides in town get 150 or 165 days a year. And they might go to Florida or Costa Rica or Belize or somewhere else in the off season, or be ski instructors or ski patrollers or whatever. A fishing guide is a very hard job. And then a lot of these gentlemen or gals or guys, they have their own outfitting operation as well as a fly shop. So, and they're coordinating trips and there's a lot to it. Writing, photography, product testing, whatever. Being a fishing guide is really social media, all kinds of things. Mark Reisler is incredible. Some of these guys are incredible. Mm-hmm. And they really have done a tremendous job promoting their industry and their businesses and this town. In my opinion, though, most people should just stick to being private fishermen and hire a guide than become one.
Yeah.
And then especially the next step is watch out if you buy your own drift boat, because you better have buddies who know how to row.
Yeah.
Because that's a pain in the ass. When you end up being the guy rowing as well as the chef, that irritated me a lot. Because I've been a drift boat since
our buddy Steve has these inflatables. He puts these fins on so he can set himself up on drift.
That's right. And again, there's so many different ways to get down the river now. I love being in a drift boat. I love it. I love camping in a drift boat, fishing in a drift boat. What I really try to do, though, in a drift boat is relax. And we cook, we nap, we forage for shrooms. We're not out there just trying to catch a bunch of fish. And a lot of times I'll launch at opposite hours of the crowds because I like the twilight. I like the birds and the bobcats and the whole thing. There's so much nature out there. It's hard to see it during the peak of the day when it's super busy because everything's hiding. But my God, the fishery is incredible. And again, I can just think of 100 days in the Wind Rivers or on the Green River or on the Madison, or where like that moment where you realize it don't count, because you're in the spot. And I think a lot of people now with the phone and with the social and all that, they don't know how to be in that spot. And for me, I love my restaurant, and I think that the benefits you get is when you get out there. And don't forget, I mostly fish in November, December because we're closed. December's amazing out there. It's not as fishy, but it's amazing. I love that twilight with the geese and the whole thing, the birds. And of course, the big brown trout in the fall. Remember, these back channels, you have real opportunity to catch a brown trout of a lifetime in 2 feet of water from the shore, not even in a boat. And as I said, this Mike Bias with Foam and the Outfitters of Montana, you guys should check their website out and then what they're up to. There's a lot of people trying to help these rivers. A lot of Montana rivers are struggling either through over-irrigation or water issues, etc. And also private property issues, etc. This fishery here, what we have for 30 miles is incredible. There's so much access.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest accesses in the world. From your car, you can hit 100 spots. And that's the thing in the winter too. You go get warmed up in between.
Yeah, that would be me for sure. I don't do well with the cold weather. This was even a little cold for me in the morning. So they were laughing at me coming out in pants and my jacket, but it's beautiful. I know earlier we talked about the influence that Anthony Bourdain played in your life. And I'd love to hear just, obviously as a cook, there's a chef, there's a connection there, but just big picture wise, how do you feel like Anthony Bourdain or some of the leaders of the restaurant world, which is its own interesting, quirky place, how did that influence you as an angler, your lifestyle?
Well, I was a kid in culinary school. His first books came out, and, it was big controversy because he revealed secrets about New York City restaurant scene. And what was amazing is to watch him evolve. If you watch his first few shows, Cook's Tour, and then how his career evolved, he ended up with the greatest job in the world and, sitting on a plastic stool eating noodles. And the way he could expound on it and articulate on it and have the cultural relevance of everything. He respected the people doing the work. And that's the thing is, if you watched him, when he profiled his kitchen, he starts in the dish pit. He shows this is the dishwasher. This is the workers. He would show really the reality of restaurants. Jose Andreas and Eric Repair and other chefs who I really respect. That's what they do. They really try to explain to people that the real workers are in the trenches. They're not on TV. And I really love that about Anthony. And then, it breaks my heart how it went down with him. And, lots of people in the industry struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was 40-something years old and a heroin addict and broke. Mm-hmm. And he became internationally famous. Mm-hmm. And now in this day and age, we're vilifying the people that feed us and the people that clean our dishes and clean our hotel rooms. And I find it disgusting. Mm-hmm. And it's going to come to terms. We're going to come to a real head with this stuff. Mm-hmm. Food prices and services and things. We need to rethink the way that the immigration program works and all that. Because, the truth is brown people feed us. And I've been to hundreds of farms and hundreds of dairies and hundreds of facilities that feed us. And these are people in the trenches working very hard on very low wages. And we're going to be in trouble if we keep this up. Also, as I said, the mental health of the restaurant industry with drugs, alcohol, overwork, etc., is really what Anthony's demise was. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I close 2 days a week. And that's why I close during the winter. Yeah, because I won't. And again, I take heat for it. I take heat for it. God, why? How stupid am I to not be open today? Mm-hmm. I'll get a review like that today, mm-hmm. in this little town.
Yeah,
we drove all the way out there, but we have a website, we have a phone number, we have a business, and we have a front door that says we don't open on Mondays and Tuesdays. But I'll get a bad review today because we're closed today. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's just not what we want to do. My employees and myself, we don't want to work 7 days a week into the ground. So again, the balance thing, you go back to why I'm in the nature, why I'm not in a big city. If I was in Chicago or Vegas or whatever, I could have multiple restaurants and be very, very successful just being a manager of those restaurants. I'd rather be in a small place and really dedicated to it. Mm. There's a cost to all that. Mm. Both sides. Gordon Ramsay doesn't have some picturesque life. Mm-hmm. He owns restaurants all around the world. He has somebody tugging on him every minute of every day. I never wanted that. I never wanted that. I've seen that. I've been around it. I've always been the one, I can't wait to get on the hill or get on the river. That was my opportunities have aroused from concerts and exploring and travel and things like this. going to Belize or going to Costa Rica or, fly rod in hand. Oh, and, Turnip Atoll and all those kind of places. I mean, it's amazing down there.
Yeah, Chris Dombowski, who's not too far from here in Body of Water, talked about the connection with mental health and water, and in particular. And I think that, a lot of people could gain a ton from just getting outside more, not just necessarily water. And it's cool to see people like yourself who have designed their life to do what they love and to not try to climb up a ladder, but I think what it really means to be rich is to know what's meaningful to you and to pursue it and to have the freedom to do it.
And there's costs, there's trade-offs. There's trade-offs.
But the person who has a bunch of things but doesn't have what they want is not rich.
You got that. And then most of the people that I think are in our industry, this fly fishing game, they get it. It's just some of them a little apathetic, and apathy is going to hurt us soon. And this transition to the youth, I'm 57. I don't have young people walking in my back door. We're surrounded by an opioid crisis. We're surrounded by a housing crisis. We're surrounded by young people on their phones and checked out. And, nature and the now, is really a big deal for me. And the restaurant, mise en place, it's simple. Everything has a place and everything should be a certain way. And that's place. And that's mental health to chefs. That's because we love shit to be organized and detailed and right, and there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And to teach and mentor and all that. The other thing about fly fishing you got to remember is you analyze your results. Did you catch them or didn't you? Were you mending properly? Did it all flow? Did you feel that oneness with the whole moment? Or are you struggling with your knots all day or whatever, when you've had a great day on the water. And a lot of days that I have on the water, I barely fish. I'm just trying to be out there. I think it's mind-blowing. We even do midnight floats. We'll go out, we'll launch at midnight. There's nothing in the way. You can't run into anything. Over the years, we've had some good times. We've had some amazing fishery here. We've had 1 or 2 drought years, 1 or 2 hard fire years, lots of smoke. But man, that fishery just provides. And, it's such an amazing resource that people travel here from all over the world to fish here and be here on their free time. Which is, a huge cost, right? It's not just financially, but the time thing. It's not easy to get here. And you might get here and it's snowing. You might get here and the fishing's horrible. Or you might get here and you catch 100 and you're almost embarrassed of how many you caught. Right.
Yeah, on our trip, we have a guest from California and a guest from North Carolina. The polar opposite coast of America. And then, I think that, that's one of the things I love about fishing, and just any time that you immerse yourself in an interest is you get to meet people from all around the world, because there's other people who are down that rabbit trail too. And, I think that the relationships and the people that you meet along the way are the best part. I saw a painting one time as like a little, I don't know what you would call it, a lesson painting, and there was a dragon and a panda, if you can indulge in that. And he said, what's more important, the journey or the destination? And the panda said, the people. Well, and, I think that's some of the best part of relationships. And what's life like living in a small town like this, speaking of relationships? Because that's one of the things I'm trying to wrap my mind around.
Well, that's cool you brought that up because, we're trying to be a respite from the real world. So when you come into Isaac's, the bartender and the staff have a few mandates. And one of the biggest things we talk about is the difference between hospitality and service. So service is just getting your check, bringing your food, doing the job. Hospitality is that like true love of a stranger, where you can really you can give of yourself, and they're not saying, "Hi, I'm Bob and I'm going to be your server," and all this. And where we always go with it was, "Hey, how was your day? How was your fishing?" And the river and the bobcat or the bald eagle or whatever. We're always talking about stuff like that. And then we get into the food and we're like, yeah, we've got this world-class huckleberry margarita, or we've got this or that or whatever. We profile local beers, local products. I try to buy as much local as possible. And then, of course, we now talk all about how we're growing a lot of our own things and making our own hot sauces and doing a lot of ferments and a lot of interesting things in the kitchen to try to teach people that, we are doing the best chicken wing in the country. I mean, we are. We are doing some world-class barbecue. We are doing some, chefy stuff. We're doing sous vide. We're doing other things that people might not understand here or know, but that's what we're doing. And so the employees can be themselves. They can talk about the outdoors. We are not talking about Fox News. We are not talking about politics. We are not showing MMA on the TV. We got the Red Sox game on. We want it to be like you're on vacation. And the client responds. When it comes to the locals, we've got some local rancher families and types that have been in this town for 5 generations, and they own the whole area around here. And then we have some just local, transient, kooky, quirky types that come and go. But mainly most of the people that are in town are fly fishing outfitters or guides or real estate agents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all tourist driven, There's 1 or 2 little old ladies that are retired from the local school and stuff like that. But no, there's if you need anything, it's 45 minutes away, basically.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You just have to plan. Tomorrow's my Costco run. Mm-hmm. You do the bank, the liquor store, the accountant, the bank, whatever you're going to do, the Costco, whatever. It's what I do every single week. And it's part of that. It's part of that deal, you have to, it's June, there's 3 months where it's absolutely on. 4. And then there's 4 months where it's sort of mellow, and it's 4 months where we're closed. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I used to run restaurants 364, like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. open.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. They'll drain you.
Oh, with 500 seats, shit like this.
Yeah.
No way. My God, I won't do anything like that anymore. Even this Mother's Day, we just tell everybody we're booked.
Yeah.
We did. Sorry.
Well, I love this setup, and it's not the largest restaurant in the world.
It's tiny,
but it's a great memory for me. Coming here, having a good meal, hanging out with my friends, and shooting pool and having drinks, and you've done well with it.
Appreciate it. We curate every inch. Every winter, every inch of this place is reevaluated, and it's sort of like a folk art thing. There's all kinds of paintings and fly fishing related stuff all over the walls that just evolves. We just did a new art installation this year. We've had a DeYoung art installation in here for years. We love representing fly fishing art, and again, it's to me, it's not my restaurant. It's sort of like a living thing. It's sort of, I'm the curator of it right now. It's not like mine. I don't even think of it like that, really, to be honest with you. And my employees have as much say or sway in anything we do as I do. They accept the food, but everything we do in this restaurant is by committee, by a team, my core people. And one of the things about Anthony or Eric or Gordon or all the famous chefs, they talked about if you have 8 or 10 people that actually give a shit, if you actually have a core crew, that then you can really do something. And it's just coming in every day with focus. Your intention. Is it pre-made, frozen, processed, whatever, or is it from scratch? What's your intention? And if you can't do all that you want, do less and do it well. The other thing I always talk about with my staff over the years is to strive for an A and accept a B plus. We're not trying to be psychotic. Fine dining and high end tends to be psychotic and oppressive to the employees, to the planet, to the product. A lot of waste, a lot of labor, a lot of peeling baby carrot type stuff. We don't do that. I don't want to do anything like that. That was 30 years for me ago. You know, when you're a young chef, you come out of culinary school, you're really focused on that French dynamic. Back in the early 90s, whatever, I was running a fine dining hotel in Deer Valley, Austrian Germanic hotel. And that's what my focus was back there. This is a totally different scope. This is a totally different mindset. It's all the same principles. Mm-hmm. It's the same French onion soup. Mm-hmm. I've been making French onion soup for 40 years. Mm-hmm. I have. It's just, I'm better at it now than 30 years ago. But it's not as fancy. It's not the fanciest cheese. It's not the foie gras. It's not the caviar. It's not the elk tenderloin. It's the ribeye. It's just a great ribeye. It's not fine dining. It's not tweezers. But yet we're using microgreens. We're using all kinds of ethnic ingredients and modern cooking and fancy ovens. And it's again, you can make a kick-ass cheeseburger and be proud of it. Mm-hmm. And again, we do everything we can to make a kick-ass cheeseburger. Yeah.
We didn't try the cheeseburger, but we did try, we tried a lot. We tried probably half the menu because we had a big group. Yeah. We shared food. And, you talked about hospitality, the fishing, the food, everything that we do is with Drifter is about hospitality too, and about setting the table for people to have cool experiences and build relationships.
Memories.
Yeah. And I think for us, food is a place that you sit down and you enjoy and you try and you talk and you laugh and you share your own experiences and stories with food, different places. And, and a lot of times you learn some cool stuff too. And
culturally, that's what brings us all together.
Yeah.
You might not even know how to speak the same language as someone that's cooked for you, but you can tell their love and intent.
We're all united by the need and desire to eat. And in many ways, a disconnected desire to, that many people have that's disconnected, I think, to be outside. And you have a cool fusion of that. My last question, I'd love just to hear from you is, I've sat down, I think you're the first chef that I've sat down with on the podcast. And, we were planning this trip, I thought, I heard your story from some of the guys that I was talking to, and I thought, man, that would be just interesting, and it has been just to see this place and to come here. Is how do you feel like your career in food has shaped the way that you engage in fishing that maybe you could share with people who haven't had the type of experiences that you've had?
Well, the whole fishing thing, so this is a good one. So I ran a camp on the South Fork, and the guides, it's called the South Fork Hilton, and it's owned by world-class anglers now, but it used to be owned by Hyde Outfitters out of Island Park. And I was the food and beverage director of the lodge and ran the lodge. But 4 nights a week, I'd be on the river running a camp where I'd have the jet boat in and cook for people, and then they'd spend the night, and then in the morning, cook breakfast, coffee, whatever, and then they'd leave for the day. And I'd be alone all day with my dog on the river, fishing and hunting and fooling around. But I used to have to plan these menus where, you have to prep everything in advance, bring it all in. And I've got, 5 guys this night, 5 guys the next night. And it was truly, I was cooking for 5 or 6 people a night. It was awesome. And the stars and the tents and the whole thing is unbelievable. Your clients should definitely check it out. It's the South Fork of the Snake is incredible. But I used to really have to put this energy in to think, what can I cook on a fire? What does everybody want to eat? What can I do that's special? What can I do that's different? And I put so much effort in those meals. And I tended to steer towards, at that time in my career, I was doing Southwestern big time. and I was doing lots of those flavors. I was big into New Mexican cuisine at that time. And I'd be doing like the money chili rellenos for breakfast and the whole thing with the world-class cup of coffee or whatever. And these city clients would be blown away, absolutely blown away. And I mean, the stars, the trout, the guides, the whole thing. It was such an amazing experience. And a lot of that still translates into Craig, into Isaac's, because we do something different every day here. We are pushing the elements. We are doing interesting things. We are doing technical cuisine. And that client is the same guy that's going to the Vegas restaurant for $500 ribeye. They don't come here for that. That's the thing. We are not Vegas. We're not the Cosmopolitan. We're not Gordon Ramsay. And they don't want an $1,800 bottle of wine. No, nobody wants that here. They want local stuff. They want a margarita. They want a ribeye for $50. That's it. It's not. When I was a young chef, I was definitely trying to push that whole super high-end fine dining, ultra complicated food. And a lot of it is based on your ego, based on how much you could blow it up. And that is not what I think like at all now. I'm thinking about how I could pick it and bring it right in.
Yeah.
What
changed? Well, how did
just time and maturity, dining, going out, learning. I lived in Charleston. I lived in Charlotte. I've lived in 30 states and 5 countries. I've run restaurants all around the United States. I've fed hundreds of thousands of people, man. I've been doing this my whole life. It's the same a lot with the fishing. Some of the best fishermen are fishing the sparsest patterns, doing the least amount, making that perfect cast count. It's not about 17 bad casts. It's that first cast, second cast, man. These fish are smart.
I noticed, yeah.
and again, if I wanted tomorrow to say sushi, caviar, foie gras, blah, I could. I don't want it. My clients don't want that. My employees don't want that. What is it? I've lightened up, I guess. I don't know. I used to be extremely a perfectionist to the point where fishing was my therapy, as opposed to now it's my lifestyle. It's like I'm always out there. Again, probably an hour and 10 minutes from now, I'm launching that boat, and with my 3 dogs, and I'll bring 3 different fly rods, a little snack, and just, I'm going to nymph, dry, streamer. What am I doing? You just go down the river and let it tell you.
Yeah.
And of course, I have a lot of it memorized over the years, which is a great thing. And remember, I've also had a great fortune of being out with a lot of guides over the years and learning what they do. And
I learned a lot from being with the guide team at Headhunters this week. And it's fun to watch. I think when you fish with different people too, sometimes, they say there's 100 ways to skin a cat. I've never skinned one before, but I'll take their word for it. But, sometimes there's a lot of different ways to accomplish the same thing, but it's fun to see and learn. And sometimes there's only one way.
This fishery is a puzzle, and it's big. It's big water, and it looks like it's 30 feet deep, and it's 18 inches deep. It's moving gravel. It's not boulders. The whole river is a gravel bottom that during the winter, the big chunks of ice move it around, and it really does change. Right now, today, you saw 5,000 CFS, I believe. My first year was 28,000. It was like a raging torrent. You couldn't even fish. Campgrounds were flooded, whatever. Many years, this time of year, we're at 6,000, 55, 75. But we have 13,000, 18,000 springs. Not this year, not the last few years. So we're at 4,000 all winter. And now going into summer like this at 6,000, 6,000 is pretty awesome. We still need more rain. Of course, everything for August is about the rain. But this fishery, it is absolutely just a gem. And I couldn't be more fortunate. I like I say, I hope to find a buyer so I can make my next move.
And we'll do a podcast all over again in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll end up there. That's my mentality is I'm sure I'll end up there.
Hey, I can't stop watching those videos. I got good friends and family there.
It's beautiful.
I can't believe anyway, I know it's going to happen. I do believe in self-actualization, and I'm going to make it happen. I've had an amazing run here. Most chef jobs last 2 or 3 years, so to be at a place for 15 years is not a small feat. Most restaurants go out of business 6, 7 years. Izaak's isn't a restaurant. It's like an institution. It's like a thing, And again, everybody, and what we had said a while ago, there is not a restaurant like this in a fly fishing town in the country. I mean, in Missoula and Bozeman and Livingston, yeah, there's great restaurants. But in the middle of nowhere on a trout stream, no, there's nothing like Izaak's. And we love that.
Yeah.
We love that.
I've loved it, and I'm so grateful for the time today.
Thanks so much.
To hear the story, and man, it's cool to see somebody who has a passion for food and a passion for fishing and merging those things. And I hope that encourages people who are wanting to find ways to design their life and to figure out how to get out there and do more of what they love. And I'm excited to keep up with you. And, I'm sure I'll be back, but I would love to get that interview in New Zealand. A round 2 podcast with you, and
then come back here in a couple of years under new management and see what's happening.
Yeah, a secret chef, secret shopper review. But to end on, just to thank you for your hospitality and the wonderful hospitality of Headhunters and Mark, and whether you're stepping on a boat with a fishing guide or you're stepping into somebody's restaurant, you're coming and you're visiting for a moment, and it's something that. The same way that there's people washing dishes and there's people cleaning floors and doing so much for you to have that moment. It's the same with guides. They're tying flies, they're washing boats, they're going out there on their off days, learning things, they're watching videos, they're reading. And I just want to tell you, I'm grateful for it. So thank you for your role in that. Thank you, John. Been so good. Thank you.
Let's fish together next time.
I would love it next time.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to this episode of the Captain's Collective. If you're enjoying it, help us out by sharing and subscribing, and also learn more at captainscollective.com. If you're interested in joining Drifter Fish Club, you can head to drifterfishclub.com and learn about our upcoming trips and everything that we have going on there. Thank you guys for listening. This is the Captain's Collective.